Hi everyone, I'm Holly and today I'm making Bayberry soap, and Bayberry is such just like a warm holiday fragrance. It is a mixture of like balsam and pine with some clove and nutmeg. I think that's how it is described, and I can't use very much. It has a very low usage rate, so we don't have much. Now what I did, I measured my whole batch out into the big pot like I normally do. And I did my lye solution in one pitcher like I normally do. And then I've split it into 5. So I will be working them individually. So I already have my coconut milk in. That was part of my original mixture. And I'm going to put in the lye solution. And I also want to go ahead and put in the titanium dioxide. This bottom layer is white and I want to measure it. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon for starters because I want it to be even between the batches. I'm still using my big old stick blender. Now this does yellow just a little bit, so this titanium dioxide level is going to be really nice. I decided to get my mold over here so that I could go ahead and get this poured. So I'm going to add in the fragrance oil now. See how it's turning brighter yellow. Now the good thing is that this will accelerate just a bit, so hopefully it won't take me too long in between these batches. I did not want to make the whole batch up and then just have the parts holding because I want them to flow well. So this is how I do layered soaps so that they operate appropriately for what I want. Usually I just actually mix up 5 batches, but I thought, man, this will be easier if I just split it up after the fact, after the main batches are mixed up. So it looks very thin still, so I want to make sure that it's accelerated enough that, or thick enough I should say, that I'm not going to wait here forever. But one thing we need to do is to double check the level here. So I'll probably try to not move the mold after I get it where I want it. So I just take a level. This is my soap level. I stole it from my husband a long time ago. He came up one day and he's like, oh, so that's where it is. Yup, it's mine now. Good luck getting it back. It works perfect. Alright, let's see. Still really thin. I'm going to give it just a little bit more of a blend. I don't want to wait too long. I really don't. It doesn't seem to matter how much I prep. I'm always soaping at the very end of the day. And so it's 5 o'clock and I'm just wanting to get done, but that's the way it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it in. It's still pretty thin, but I feel it's getting thicker now that I have given it that extra stick blending. Give it a shimmy And then I want to get the rest in. Hopefully I didn't take it too far after that. I'm pushing it. It's leaving a mark on the top. It should be fine, but next time I better not go that far. So there is a little bit of a drizzle and everything there, but it's looking fine. It should be plenty straight enough. So what I'm going to do, I have to use this pitcher over and over, so I'm going to clean it and I will come back for the next portion. So this one is going to be the green layer. I have mixed up some Savage Garden with a little chrome green. And I'm going to get that blended in first. Now for the lye solution. Does have a little lye lint in it, but it's fresh, so in it goes. In the fragrance oil. Okay, so it's time to get this poured on. I'm just going to use this little spatula to flood it. I don't think there's any issue with it punching through, but this will help break the pressure. And these spatulas are no longer available from Bramble Berry, but I really do love them. Go ahead and shimmy this because it's already getting a little bit thick. Moving on to the red layer now. I have a mixture here of Trial by Fire and also Merlot Mica. One's from Nurture, one's from Bramble Berry. I'm not going to put it all in. I want to see where it takes me. I don't want pink, obviously, but we don't want to over red this. Really need to blend it in well because the Trial by Fire can be a hint speckly. It looks pretty good, but I know that it's going to lighten up quite a bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit more because we do want it to be red, but I still have quite a bit left in there. Alright, I did blend that for quite some time just to make sure it was blended up well. Now in with the lye solution. Now in with the fragrance. Alright, so now I'm going to get this red layer on And it looks really potent, but it will lighten up quite a bit. I ended up using about 2 teaspoons for this size of a batch. Maybe it's 3 teaspoons. And it can go up to 2 teaspoons per pound of oil. And this was about 5 pounds. A little bit more. Let's see. It was a 6-pound batch, I guess. And I could have used 12 supposedly, but I only used 3. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this little, like, you know, caramel apple stick or what have you. And I'm just going to make swirlies. It's not really holding it at the moment, but I'm just going to kind of play around until it decides it's going to hold it. I don't know if you really can see it, but it is holding the design now. And I love soaps like this that just have that little bit of design on the top, but it's not like in your face. It's still rather flat, but it just has a little something extra. So this soap is just about finished. I am going to cover it and allow it to gel. And I usually unmold in a couple of days just because I like it to really cool down in the mold, and that helps to prevent ash when you don't cut it or unmold it before it's cooled off. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of put this to the side, and I'm going to revisit it in a couple of days. Alright, so I'll see you back here for the cut. Alright, so it's time to cut this Bayberry soap. It turned out so good. I love it. It's just, the layers are perfect. Everything turned out great. Very happy with it. So this one should be pretty hard. I made it just over a week ago, and because the fragrance has a very low usage rate, it doesn't have as much liquid in it, obviously, so it's should be quite hard. Yeah. There we go. But it just turned out great. I always say it kind of looks like tube socks. My husband says, no, it doesn't either. But I say, it sure does. Have to clean off the wires in between each cut so that the residue does not stick to each of the individual bars, because that's kind of a pain to clean up, but not too bad since we bevel and we plane, but I still don't like to deal with all those. This turned out just awesome. It is so fun to be working on my holiday soaps, even though it's quite hot in Missouri still in the 90s, but it's nice to have them on their way. Always just take a little sliver off of the end. It makes it a nice straight cut. Because otherwise the end pieces never have the best look. So it's nice to go ahead and take care of that. And then I get little sample pieces too when they're big enough. I'm just as pleased as could be. I switched up the design for Bayberry soap last year because it had jojoba beads in it. Well, here's an example of this end, how it's a little smeary, little odd looking. By taking a little sliver off of the end, I get the really nice bar look. Well, there's the sample and then the back, so it's nice to go ahead and get rid of those. I already have 2 other loaves cut. No, six loaves total, so I have more than that cut. I had half of the batch already cut. This is my biggest mold, so I get 6 loaves out of it. I could not go any bigger, else I wouldn't be able to handle any of the weight. These are already 40-some pounds, so if I went any bigger, my pots would be unmanageable and etc. It looks so good. As pleased as could be. I love the simple top. Perfect. It's perfect. Give this a final little cleanup there. A last cut. And these soaps are going to go on the curing rack for, it's going to be a couple of months still. I really do prefer that my soaps have at least a 6 to 8 week cure. And with the way I do releases, sometimes they get a 3-month cure, which is just perfect, really. It's ideal. So anywho's here we have the Bayberry soap for Christmas 2021. It's looking gorgeous. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.